clothes with sort of minimal amount of sewing knowledge, but still with a professional finish. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a technique that I've learnt and added my own sort of spin on it. The technique that I'm going to be showing today is what I call, I don't know if anyone else calls it that, draping and sketching on the dressmaker's dummy, draping and sketching on the stand. So let's try this slide business. I've never done this before, by the way. Oh look, there you go. So a few years ago, I was lucky enough to go and study with this amazing pattern cutting king guy called Shingo Sato that's developed this form of pattern cutting called TR cutting, which stands for Transformational Reconstructive. Something sounds like surgery. Pattern cutting. He used to have this studio in Milan, and me and my sister Shaz, we stayed there and we just lived and breathed this weird pattern cutting for 3 days, and he made us food, and we did things like this and things like that and things like that. Okay, and then more recently I went on another one of his courses where he does this form of moulage, not moulange, I thought it was moulage, it's moulage, and that's a form of draping on the stand. I think it's a French word for, any French people? It's a French word for draping on the stand, but he does it in a slightly different way. So what he does is using masking tape and calico, he basically makes like it's kind of like working in papier-mâché or something, except you're working with calico and masking tape to get the form, to get the shape of the person's body shape, to create the perfect bodice block, which is something I haven't said. So we use this technique to create the perfect bodice block, and it's really, really easy. So let's go back one. So what he does is he drapes the fabric on the stand, slashes in darts, masks it off with masking tape, and then he decides where the new star lines or seams are going to be, or where the darts need to go and stuff. And then he cuts it up, so you end up with a pattern, you add seam allowance, and you end up with a perfect bodice block. So in this situation we did a jacket bodice block with sleeve. So, merging the two ideas together, I found that if I drape on the stand and I mask off my darts, I sort of feel like I'm on to point, but I've got a big dart that goes down there, and I've masked it off with masking tape, I can sketch over it. And it was kind of like one of those amazing moments, because, I don't know, am I a designer? Am I a designer? I don't know, I'm sort of a designer. So as a designer, we normally like sketch on a piece of paper, but to suddenly realise that you can sketch on the dressmaker's dummy is just brilliant. So what you do is, so here I've sketched out my star lines, I've coloured it in, so I've coloured in all the coloured blocky places, so it helps me visualise it. I've even coloured in and done where the ribbing would go, and the zip stand, and the little side bustly bit. Don't do this, it was a nightmare. So when you do sort of sketch on the stand, don't get too carried away, because it's really complicated. Remember, you do actually have to stitch it together. And if you add really rubbish piping in as well, it's even more difficult. So look, you can see, I've sketched over all the masking tape bits. And then what happens is, when you're finally happy with that, and we'll get to that in a minute, finally happy with it, you cut it up into lots of really complicated little pieces. But if you kept it simple, it wouldn't be complicated little pieces. So what happens, if we go back a little bit, do you see that shoulder line there? I've completely ignored any classic side seams or shoulder seams, and I've just completely gone over that shoulder, and so it's become one great big long piece. Now I have actually got the sample here, but we'll carry on a bit longer. So that's it stitched up. That's the front piece on the right hand side. So that's it stitched up, and they are my draped and sketched pattern with a seam allowance which makes up that. Does that make sense? And so that's what it looks like when it's done. I put a vintage scarf lining inside, and I've got it here so I can put it on, I think. So I've got quite a few things to manage, so I don't know what it looks like. But basically, when you do the moulding, the draping moulding method, you get a complete replica of your body. So when you do that, you do need to sort of think about a little bit of ease, so you kind of don't want to do it too tightly. So from doing that you've just seen, so I made this. Now I will confess to you that those, somewhere here are some denim buttons, and they're not a design feature. They're to cover up the fact that I did a really bad job there. But the thing is, so I was able to visualise all of this on the dressmaker's dummy really easily. I'm moulding it on the dummy, coming in and sketching new star lines, colouring in all the kind of colour block places, which I don't think I used in the end, and even down to the ribbing, which is from an old jumper. Oh, it's made from 2 pairs of jeans, by the way. It's made from 2 pairs of jeans. Yeah. So after that, that's that. So you don't always have to do fitted bodice blocks when you do it. You could just sort of do a shift dress shape. So in this situation, I was trying to figure out a way to do that kind of classic Mondrian colour block dress that was on the sewing bee. So there are certain rules which I haven't said actually. This is really important. Right, I've paid loads and loads of money to find out this really simple little bit of information. When you're doing this relocation of bust darts and creating new star lines and things, you can do whatever shape you want, so long as you stick to this rule. It's so simple. Any darts that you have, mark the ends of them. So whether they be bust darts, waist darts, a dart at the back, wherever those darts are, just put a little dot there. Because when you do your new star line, whether it's a heart or a wiggly line or whatever, it has to cross over those dots. Otherwise, when you cut out your pattern, it will not lay flat. So that's a really important, it's really important. So long as it touches the end of whatever darts you have on your original bodice block or your original shift dress pattern or whatever it is, then you can do any shape that you want, that you are capable of sewing. I'm going to take this off because I'm a little bit bored. So, I'm hoping that I can show a little bit of that kind of papier-mâché style moulding today, but we'll just move on a little bit more. So in this situation, with this Mondrian dress, it's quite pale, isn't it? That horizontal line going across there touched the end of the shift dress bust dart. Okay, and then once I did that, I knew I was free to do any sort of lines and shapes that I wanted. Oh, another thing I didn't mention. Right, so when you do all your new star lines, you completely have to do notches, and you have to label those notches as well. Because as you can imagine, you've got loads of little pieces, and you don't know where they go. So you really have to label them up. So this is where I've started labeling it up. Colouring in, so I've started sketching on the stand, colouring in all the sections, a bit more colouring in. Now I've chopped it up, so I've cut it in loads of little pieces, but it's really okay because you've got them all labelled. So that's now my pattern, and I've just got to add seam allowances and it ends up looking like that. Have I got any more? Oh look, there you go. Oh, and I have a video of it on Stitchless TV. Everything I'm talking about today, we've got 120 videos on Stitchless TV on YouTube, and they're all free. Yeah, so then we went on to do this dress here, the version of this dress here. And so again, I started with the shift dress pattern, which is here. I started with the shift dress pattern. That's the end of my bust dart. I've done a heart, and so long as it touched that bust dart, when you cut up all the pieces, look how they lay completely flat. Okay, that's something else. So, using this pattern, they're draped tarts. Okay, so I'll go back. So using this pattern and a technique called, what's it called, Chas? Creating an integrated draped tart. So I've got a tutorial on Stitchless TV of how to do this too. So that's that same thing where you do a design, so we've done a heart, I've touched the original bust points, I've absorbed them into my heart. That sounds a bit techie. But, so the only little opening bit is, oh no, the opening bit's here actually. So those bust darts have got absorbed into the heart and this opening here. So using this, which is a TR cutting technique from that original amazing TR cutting guide, and all of these, that's the video. I then started to create a new pattern. So that's this pattern here, okay? So with the kind of sketching and draping business, so that I could visualise the design, I've put the collar on there, I've done all the kind of frilly stuff so I can see what it looks like. I made it a bit wider here at the side, so it became fullness. And then I used it as my pattern piece on some amazing 1970s fabric. It's a bit sort of sweaty but very special. And I started making it up. That's the 70s fabric. That's it, nearly done. Nearly done. Oh, I've inserted a frill into here, and then that's it finished. So I have got it here. I'm just going to quickly try and put it on. Am I going to put it on? Sure, exactly. It'd be worth waiting for. So I'm really not meant to do that. So I'll just leave it there for a minute because he's going to have to wire me up again. So basically from that, okay, so from a shift dress to sketching on the stand to sketching even more, like doing the collar and the frill and all the rest of it, I was able to make this dress. I don't know, shall I walk around a little bit? Yeah, the back's me running out of time and fabric actually. I wanted to continue. I know, it should have had no more material. Because when you start doing these sort of interesting shapes, your fabric's sort of continuing. And you need quite a lot of fabric unless you create a sort of strange... Oh, right, okay, there we go, let's wind me up. I'll keep the dress on, I promise. So, I'd like a volunteer, and I won't hurt you. I'm going to drape. Are we done? Okay. So I'd like a volunteer. Oh, lovely. Right. Okay. Have you got something fitted underneath?
It's not very. It's pretty fitted, but
okay. That's probably okay. Yeah. Okay. Right, so I'm going to try and just really quickly show you the first stage of the moulage. Moulage? Okay. No. I need something to stick it to, but that's absolutely fine. So you just initially, can you see? Can everybody see? Would you rather I put her up on the stand or put her up on the stand? Right, okay. No, but then there's not enough room. No. We'll go back down. Oh, yeah, genius. Okay, pull the desk back. There's the furniture. I like it. Yeah? There we go. Yeah, we'll just hide the junk that was hiding underneath the table. Oh, stay there. Okay, so first of all, you just sort of guesstimate, if that is a word, roughly. You're a person, aren't you? Right. Roughly how much you're going to need to do the front part of the dress. So it's just sort of rough. Okay. And then I need to mark out a centre line. Now normally I would do it from ruler, but I don't know where my ruler is at the moment, so I'm just going to sort of roughly draw out a centre line. Oh, it's all right. Like that. And then I'm going to do a horizontal line as well, so I can keep track of the grey. I'll do 2 horizontal lines. Right. So, where are my scissors? So, if you can come a bit closer. Thank you for placing them. So, I'm just going to put it on. Oh, God. I promise I'll be careful. So because it's a real person, I'm going to do it quite roughly, so I'm worried about chopping her head off. So we're just roughly guessing where her centre line is of the front of her bodice, okay? And then if I'm happy with that, then I can take that to her top. Now I'm not thinking at all about shoulder seams or side seams or anything. So I'm just getting it all in place. Now it's much better if you have like a really fitted top on. So my time monitor over there, can you tell me how much time I have so I know? Do you put your arm out? Okay, that's fine. I'm going to start taking my time out. So I'm roughly cutting out an armhole. So, this lady is so beautifully slim that I barely need to do any darts at all. I can see I'm going to have to do some darts down there. But usually, in order to bring up the line horizontally, we would need to do some dart there. So I am going to do a bit of a dart there. So I simply slash in to where I think I have to go. And then just overlap it a little bit and start putting the masking tape on, which has actually got paint from the tape on it. Right, now clearly this is too long. I want it to stop around her waist. Can you just face me for a minute? I know the audience wants to say. Thank you. So in order to get a good fit there and keeping that sequence, right, I need to do like a dart down there. So if I slash up, and then fold it over, and then just add masking tape. Now it's so much quicker, and I think accurate, so much more accurate than using pins. So that would be the front section. So I do the same for the back section, which shall I do as well? We're okay for time? So I'll do the same for the back section. So just guessing. So getting it exactly in the centre is sort of quite important. So when I said to Shingo, why is it that you do it in 2 halves? And he said that hardly anybody is symmetrical. Everybody is completely different, or even a little bit different, on each side. So I'll line it up there. So still ignoring any shoulder seams, but knowing that I need to overlap it, because it needs to be like one whole solid piece. So I'm overlapping it. Would you like to put your head down? Because I'm really worried I'm going to cut my hair, which I'm not. Oh no, that'd be a disaster.
More important than my dress.
Now the fit, to get the fit right is more important than the shape of the neck and how far up the shoulder you come, because you can just keep adding masking tape on and calico on to build it up to the shape that you want. And actually, what Shingo does is, you can look him up online, TR Cutting, on YouTube. He does the most amazing shoulders, like he starts really building up a really interesting shoulder formation because you can. That's it. I'm being very cautious, okay? It's quite good. Bring your arm out. You turn you around so you can see what's going on. I think I've got to go there. So when you do this, do it on a friend and make sure that their top is fitted. Because look, I'm getting a bit of movement there and I really don't want that, but I'm not doing too tight a fit. So I'm just going to stick that. I've got to cut it a bit more. Over there. So you should put your arm down. Chaz, can you do me some new masking tape? Because this masking tape sort of stuck to the paint and it's a bit of a disaster. Sorry. Can I just... No, if you could just hand it to me, that'd be great. Bring your... That's just like that. Yeah. Just sort of keep handing it to me. Right, that will do for the moment. Right, let's take this to the waist. If you just keep turning, turn, turn, turn. Now, go that way. Now, in order to bring it into the waist, I know that I need to dart there. But we need to go higher. Thank you. Oh. Take. Thank you. Right, let's turn you back again. Right, that's really terrible. So, that's fine. So you can keep going in and manipulating it. And then when you're completely happy, you can start doing your star lines and your seams and your darts. Thank you. And can we do some more up here? So, imagine this was perfect, because it isn't perfect. So the really amazing, what I think is the really amazing thing about this is you could just go and do traditional seams and star lines, and what they would be, if you turn around, what they would be, in my mind anyway, is a shoulder seam and a side seam there. But why? Why do that when you could do something like, so I've got a dart there that I need to consider, I've got a dart there, if you turn around, and I've got the end of the dart there, so if you turn back round again. So I could, so I'm just making this up, okay, so I could do something like a kind of heart curve shape like that. Now so long as it touches those, it's going to be okay. If you turn around, I could take it around there. Just, yeah, hang on, just lift your arm a little bit. I've got to get to there, so I go around here, and around there, and like that. So if you turn, so I'm going to shade, this is now two pieces, okay? And I'm going to shade the area so you can see what the actual two pieces are. Oh God, I'm sticking to my own masking tape. Right, so do you mind if I, actually, do you know what, should we, I'm worried about shading with my 3M markers and it going into your top. Yeah, I'll do it really carefully.
This is almost like that.
No, you're going to say, oh, this is just any old thing. Okay, so if you turn it a little bit. So the wonderful thing about the masking tape, look, I'm able to completely draw over it. So turn, oh, it's not so easy.
Got 5 minutes.
5 minutes, perfect. Right, so if you can turn. Shall I do the other colour, do you think? Will it stand out more if I do the other colour, or...?
Well, it's white and striped, that's like quite dark.
Okay, so basically, if you put your arm up a little bit, so I don't know if you're getting this, but basically, so traditionally, you'd have a front piece with, in this situation, we did a waist start and a bust start, then there'd be a side seam and a shoulder seam, and then for the back, it'd be the shoulder seam, the dart, and then that would be the back piece. So what we've done is we've completely, taken it apart, and we've made it that our two pieces now are this piece, so this everything in blue, that's all going to be one piece, and then our second piece is everything that is in white, and it will lay out flat. When we cut that out, it will lay out flat. Do you want me to quickly cut it out and show you? Yeah, okay. So I've got to get it off you to do that. So normally you'd be much more attentive to properly putting the masking tape on this side and on the other side as well, because you want it to sort of stay. So take that off carefully. So I'm going to, normally he'd have the camera set up, but we haven't got it set up. So I'm just going to cut it out and I'm going to put it on the floor there, okay? Oh really? Okay. I'm just going to start cutting now. Never put your back to the audience, eh? So I'm making sure that I touch all of those bust start points. Now you would do this much more neatly than me. Oh. That probably just looks like a mess. Okay. Back to the audience. Yes. Right, shall I put it on there and then they can see, do you think? Okay. Right, so I'm just going to put it on here and hopefully it will come up on the screen if it doesn't fall apart. So have you got that? Okay, so I don't know, can you see that? So you would iron it as well. So that form, that shape, has become two flat pattern pieces of a completely different shape. So I don't know if that does make any sense, but so that's draping and sketching. I don't know. Yeah, no, forget it. No, we'll forget it. Yeah, we were going to have some outro music, but we'll forget it. So that's draping and sketching on the stand. And speaking of stands, can I encourage you to go to Kennett and Linsol's dressmaker's stand, and they have a brilliant competition. I'm saying that because he let us borrow his stand, and no one else would let us borrow his stand today. Sorry?
They're the best dressmakers.
They're the best dressmakers stand in the world, and there's a competition. If you fill out these forms, what's the prize?
A dressmaker's dummy to your custom to your
No
size.
way.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I won't give them out. If you fill out these, or go to their stand, where is it?
As you go into the second part of it's just as you go
So
through.
as you go into the second part, it's just...
Just as you go through, it's on the left.
Okay.
You can't miss it.
All right, thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to ask at the end and you can all fight over these. Thank you. I'll go and look at Stitchless TV. Bye, thank you.